This is another video addressing how to make a quadratic model, only this time we're going to do how to make a quadratic model in standard form. In standard form, quadratic models can be made out of any 3 points that can be named as long as those 3 points can form a function, so they can't fall on the same vertical line. But given the 3 points that we have here, notice they all have their own x value, therefore they won't fall on the same vertical line. These 3 points should be able to make some sort of a parabola, whether that be a parabola opening up or down, only time will tell. But we're going to take advantage of our calculator. There is a method of finding this where you could use these points, plug them into a standard form equation, make a system of 3 equations, and solve using matrices. But I think the easier method would be quadratic regression. So we're going to go ahead and plug these points into our calculator. So on your calculator, open up a list and spreadsheet page. You'll notice that I've already opened one up, and I've labeled my top list X list and my other list Y list. So now I'm going to go down below the gray box and I'm going to put in my points. I'm going to go ahead and type in 1, 2, and 4 into my X list, and I'm going to type in -6, -1, and -3 into my Y list. And you'll notice that they're lined up just like coordinate points would be, X and Y, nicely next to each other. Now you can do this on a data page as well, but I'm going to go ahead and just use a calculator page, because that will find me not only my quadratic regression, it'll also find me correlation to tell me if it's a very good regression. Remember, anything with a 1 or a -1 is good. So let's go ahead and go to menu. We're going to do some statistics. Remember that when we're taking data and making models, technically that's statistics. We're going to statistically calculate a quadratic regression, number 6 right here on my list. So if you go ahead and click on that, our X list, remember we already labeled X list, our Y list, the variable there is Y list, and notice that it's going to save our function as F1. So if we wanted to go use it later on to find more points on that function, remember that we can just type in F1 parentheses and put in our X value, and we can find however many Y values we want. Go ahead and press enter, and you'll notice we get an A, a B, and a C nicely here to set up a nice quadratic model. So the model that we get, and I'm just going to go ahead and take a quick picture of this here. The model that we get, if we put that on our screen here, nicely falls right there. And we can write down the fact that our model would be y equals -2 x squared plus 11x minus 15. And that model, with a perfect r-squared correlation of 1, should have those 3 points exactly on it. And notice again, our directions here, we needed to enter into a list and spreadsheet page. Then on a calculator page, we can find a statistics under menu, stat calculation, quadratic regression. Now, we can do that with many more points as well. Remember, if you only have 3 points, it'll find you a perfect regression every time, as long as it can make a function. But if you have multiple points, numerous points, you can also find a model that should be reasonably close to your data. Again, you can do this on a calculator page, or as we're showing over here on the right, you can also use a data stats page. So let's go ahead and head back to our calculator. I've already got my data pre-entered, so if you wanted to, you could rewind and go back to your calculator and type in all that data and catch up so you can follow along. But I've got my wind speeds here, and I've also got my time changes over here. Remember, these are the wind speeds and time changes. If the wind is blowing against you, it takes someone longer to run a race. If the wind is blowing with you, they're faster. And the general wind speed and time changes for the running this race. What we want to do is find a model to see if this is quadratic or not. So let's go to our data and stats page. So we've already got our list and spreadsheet. We're going to open up a data and stats page. Remember that we want to locate our variables. So we want to click on the bottom. Remember, we want our wind speeds to be our input and our time changes to be our output. And you'll notice a slight curve there. It looks fairly straight, but if you look, it kind of dips in the middle a little bit. So there is a little bit of a curve. My guess is a quadratic model should work fairly well. Then we can go to our menu, go to Analyze, and make a regression. And remember, we're making a quadratic regression. Make sure you pick the right one, not quartic, quadratic. And if we click Enter, you'll notice we get a nice line. And we also get our equation right there. So I'm going to, again, take a picture of that. Remember, again, you could have also just done that on a calculator page, and it would very quickly have given you the same idea. But if we head back here, we can post that right onto our page here, and we've got a nice model for our answer right there. I hope that helps you with quadratic regressions. Again, it's the best way to find, given 3 points or more points, a standard form equation for your model. Have a great day.